Hello everybody, it's Brian here with, believe it or not, more recent finds. Most of these are from the Toronto-Mississauga Record and Collectibles show. However, two are from a local record store that I shop in. So let's call this the good and the bad record finds. I'm also going to throw in a legitimate lightweight vinyl find right at the end, just so you can see what I've been talking about. So let's start with the bad. And believe it or not, that's this record. Now, I should say that I love this record. I've never owned a vinyl copy of it. I've mentioned it here and there in other people's comments. In fact, I had a brief exchange with Rich from Embarrassment of Riches about the fact that I don't have a vinyl copy of this record. And I walked into a local store, and I'm going to tell you what the store is. And I saw it sitting there in the used rack. First thing I saw, you know, your eyes just sometimes just drawn to something, and I looked in, and there it was. So I went over there, picked it up. And this is the Stone Roses debut record from 1989. Well, this is the 2018 repressing, of course. And I took it out. It looks in amazing shape. So let's just have a look at it. That's that piece of artwork you might know, the black and white photographs. And inside we have this nice heavyweight vinyl record. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Something I've wanted for a long time. And I thought the price was pretty good. I mean, let's be honest, it was $29.98 plus tax. I thought that was reasonable considering that new vinyl in Canada. I mean, I don't know what the new price on this, but it'd be a lot, $20 more probably. So I thought it was a really good price. Great shape. It's got that nice embossed cover here. There's no corner dents. Looks beautiful. So when I took it home, I put it on, and immediately the leading grooves were filled with all sorts of crazy noise, loud crackle noise. I don't know, it's just noise. And I thought, well, you know, that does happen on some records. There's some records where there's a noisy lead-in, but the record is fine. No, this record is noisy. Above all, it drowns out the music. Well, not drowns out. It is obvious when the record is playing that you're listening to two things. You're listening to the music and you're listening to the noise. No amount of cleaning is going to get this out. I flipped it over, and the same was true. I took it off after 2 songs, so I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I cannot listen to this. So this is a giant waste of money. So irritating, because otherwise it looks beautiful. I'm sure when the store got it, they thought, oh, this is in great shape. This will be wonderful. This will be beautiful. So then I went to their website and looked at the receipt. So first, this is where I got it. This is Cops Records. They have 3 locations in Toronto. 2 in Toronto. One's on the Danforth. I think they still have one in Oshawa. So no refunds are given on any purchases. They have exceptions. The major exception is if you have purchased a sealed product and it's unopened, you can exchange it within 14 days. That makes perfect sense to me. They don't want to have to pay out money that they already took in, so you can exchange it. Fine, that makes sense. However, all used product sales are final. So they go on to say that defective new products can be exchanged after verified by staff on our turntable. And by the way, on the topic of turntable, they don't have a turntable that I'm aware of that you can listen to something. I guess I could ask them to put it on. So you're going to say, why didn't I listen to it? There was no turntable, as far as I know. So they will verify it within 14 days if there's a defect in your record. If your record player doesn't have a counterweight like on Crosley's, Victrola's, and some Audio-Technicas, we can't take a refund as this is the source of 99 out of 100 issues. I agree with that. If an item does not skip on our turntable, then we aren't able to take it back as the issue is not the record. I agree with that. So they talk about cleaning. Then they say some faint crackles and pops are to be expected even on brand new pressings and are not considered a defect. Blah, blah, blah. And they go on again about another paragraph about modern budget record players and the needles associated with those. So it's irritating that I have taken used records back to other stores, but this store will not take this record back, which I think is terrible because it shouldn't have been sold. So I'm irritated by that. Not only that, on the same day, same visit, I bought this record. Now, you're not going to know what it is because it's kind of obscure and you can't see it. So there's an embossed lettering here that is the record label name, but nowhere is the band's name anywhere on here or here. This tells you the name of the album. It's called Streams of Consciousness, and there's a number 130806 from Tone Float Icon Records. It's from a guy named Dirk Series, Serries. He's a guy that started sometime in the 80s in the harsh electronic industrial sound. And then he moved into more ambient sound. So this is an ambient record. There are a number of Streams of Consciousness records. This happens to be one of them. And so I'm always a little reluctant when I buy something that's really quiet because any sort of surface noise is amplified or any pops and clicks, right? So side 1 played well, side 2 is not very good. So there's a lot of obvious loud popping, and I had to take, again, I took the record off because I couldn't listen to it. So that was only a $10 record, but that's $40 worth of records that I am never going to play again. And I don't even see how I'm going to get rid of them because I'm not the kind of guy that can take it to a store. If I took it to a store on a trade-in, I'd get something for it. But then I'd feel bad because I'm just passing the problem on to someone else. So I am really irritated with that store right now because I think that policy of theirs is a bit limiting. So on to more happy news. I went to the Toronto-Mississauga Record and Collectibles show out at the Etobicoke Olympium. Before I went, I was in contact with 3 VC members, hoping that some of them would come. It turns out that the only person who could make it that day was Jason Skills, Low Noise Jason Skills. He wasn't there very long. He got there and he had to leave. So we did have a chance to connect and we did talk. So I'm going to tell you about what I purchased from this show. And let me just also say that this venue is fantastic. It's a large gymnasium in the Olympium, so it's spacious and bright. Now, by contrast, the Downtown Toronto Record Show is an abomination because it's in a small, smelly, poorly lit room. So you're there forcing your way in between people like this, trying to flip through, and there's someone always jostling and hitting you with your backpack, and the people don't always shower. If you want to look at the record, you can't see it, so some vendors have a little light, a lamp, so you go over there and then you can't get back into where you were looking. I got pushed out once. I had a record I wanted, but I got pushed out of the line, and I'm standing there holding this record, so I just handed it to the guy and said, look, I can't deal with this. So bad lighting, small, cramped, awful. I don't even know if I went last time, but the Mississauga one's fantastic. I would go again. So having said all of that, I purchased this record, the debut record from Canadian folk band The Grapes of Wrath. They're from Kelowna, British Columbia. This came out in 1984. It's called September Bowl of Green. It's one of those top loaders, or one that you just put on yourself sideways because the spine is printed here. This is the very first pressing because it has If I Needed Someone, which is the Beatles track that originally appeared on Rubber Soul, I think. And when the second pressing of this record came out, and whenever any compilations, the second pressing doesn't have this track, and compilations also omit it, which I think might be some sort of copyright issue. I'm not sure. Kevin Kane, and then you've got the Hooper Brothers on the Network label, which is a fantastic label from the west coast of Canada. Very pleasing sound to this band. I have, I think, 3 to 4 of their records. Let me show you the record. Again, on Network. And there's the label showing the tracks. This one also came with what's called a poster. I'm not sure it is a poster. It's more of a calendar, really. Something that I would never use because it's dated from July 85 to June 86. Sorry, a 1-year span from summer to summer. I guess you put that on your wall. And as you can see, it has advertisements for other releases from Network, including 3 Moab records, a couple of Skinny Puppy records, Grapes of Wrath, the one we're looking at right now, plus Severed Heads. So that is interesting. So a very good record. I think that band is quite good. They don't perform anymore. They don't release anything since, I don't know when the last time was. Anyway, so moving on. Start with this one, even though it's in reverse chronological order. This is The Church, Remote Luxury, which came out in 1984. And this, if you know The Church, you may not even have known about this one. It's a compilation that includes the EP Remote Luxury and the EP Persia put together on one record. I think because they switched from Arista to Warner Brothers. So obviously a band from Australia, pretty good band. It's a very rare event to see a church record in Canada, at least in Toronto. So whenever I see one, I take my time to look at it. And sometimes it's just the Starfish record, which I own, and it's usually really, really expensive. But I'd never, ever seen this one before. Just a little blue inner sleeve, and you can see that they are on Warner Brothers. Most of these records are a bit dusty, so I'm going to have to clean them, of course. So that's the Church. And I haven't heard it, so I can't really tell you what it's like, but they are really an interesting band. And then I was walking around as you do, and I noticed that one vendor had these handmade cardboard signs that said, all music 50% off with arrows pointing in. So I was flipping through, and I came to this record, and I thought, is this included? Because the sign was on the bin pointing this way. Does this include this bin? So I said, is everything 50% off? And he said, yes. So I picked up, again, a record from the Church called The Blurred Crusade from 1982, their second record. I have never, ever seen a copy of this record in person, or that one. So I was quite amazed to see this. And you'll note that there's a price tag on here. It's for Eaton's. That's an old department store in Canada that doesn't exist anymore. It's $4.98. And then there's this vendor had $40 on it, but I got it for $20. Still in the shrink wrap. Now, this is a steal to me for a number of reasons. First of all, every time I see a Church record, which is almost never, they're really expensive. Secondly, this was recently reissued, and so if you go into Amazon Canada, you'll find this on blue vinyl for an outrageous price. Now, I do know that the record is thicker and whatnot. Repressing is brand new, but the price is insane. I'll maybe put a screenshot in here, if I can. Blue sleeve on the Arista label. Now, I haven't listened to this one either, so I could be surprised with a lot of surface noise. It's a bit dusty, so I'll have to deal with that, but we will see. Moving on to some Belgian EBM music, electronic body music from Front 242. This is called No Comment. I have this album on compact disc, but I never owned it on vinyl, and I saw it for a price I thought was reasonable. Again, I'm breaking my rule of buying. Maybe it's not a rule anymore. I'm buying things on vinyl that I have on CD. So EBM, that's sort of a meshing together of synth pop with industrial sounds. So here's the back of it, and you can see that they also list the beats per minute in addition to the track lengths, which I find quite interesting. So this record is fire. This is great. And there's this sort of image on the back. I don't know what it means. It's black vinyl, which again, there's probably some dust on here, which I should get off of there. So I was quite happy to find that. I don't have the first Front 242 record, but it's something I'm looking for. Probably going to be hard to find, but I have a number of other releases, including a bunch of 12-inch singles and whatnot. Now, two records I'm going to dedicate to MGK Boston, because I think he will appreciate them. First one is a 12-inch single from Wah, the new 12-inch hit. I do love the typography that Wah used on their records. I just love this sort of in-your-face. Why not fill the entire album cover with letters? It's pretty cool. Sometimes called the Mighty Wah, other names. But this is a 12-inch single that has Some Say on side A and Forget the Down This Time on side 2. And there's some lyrics. Pretty cool color scheme on that. From the UK, this one's a bit dirty, so I have to clean it. The Eternal label, so that's cool. From Pete Wiley and Wah. And then, by the way, I should have said that I bought both of these 12-inch singles, that one and the next one, 2 for $5. So that includes another one from Wah. This is Hope, I Wish You'd Believe Me. So side A has You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory, and Hope, I Wish You'd Believe Me. Side 2 has The Year of Decision, Sleep, and L'Espoir. I don't know how you pronounce that. With the nice photograph there. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. There's some lyrics there. On the Eternal label, once again, with some dust that used to belong to someone else, as you can see. So fun. And then I talked about lightweight vinyl finds a couple of times. I thought I'll throw one in because at the same time I bought those abysmal records from Cops Records, which I can't take back. I bought this. Now, they have an interesting way they lay out their store. They have categories for various things like electronica, some stores do, and they have a separate Canadian section, but the Canadian section is a little misleading because big bands like Neil Young are not going to be in the Canadian section. They're in the general section. Same is true of Leonard Cohen. They put him in the other section, I think, but other things, it depends, they put in there. And there's a few things, I should say, that are wrong, that they have a couple things in there that are not Canadian. They don't seem to know it. But I picked up this record for the low price of $1.99, and in the sleeve, it's essentially mint, and I thought, well, I'll get this because it's a band I kind of like. Now, it's labeled as Rock and Hide. The album's called Under the Volcano, but this is essentially the Payolas. The Payolas, Canadian new wave pop band, I guess, put out some records as Payolas. Then they were known as Paul Hyde and the Payolas, like from the Hyde here. And this record from '87, they released it as Rock and Hide. I don't know why, to be honest. There was one big hit on here called Dirty Water. Now, of course, Bob Rock is a well-known producer working with people like Metallica, Motley Crue, Tragically Hip. There's a long list. I couldn't possibly remember them all. And I don't know why they changed their name. I don't know. But this is a bit political in a way, like the earlier Payola stuff. By the way, the last letter of Payola is actually a $sign instead of an S. And rumor has it that they were never invited to play on Dick Clark's American Bandstand because of his purported connection with the Payola scandal. So there we go. The Payolas were quite well known up here. I'm not sure how well known they are other places, but there it is, Rock and Hide Under the Volcano from 1987. So that is an example of a lightweight vinyl find. That is cheaper than any record I could ever find in a thrift store, and it's in far better shape than any record I'd find in a thrift store. So that was kind of a cool thing. So maybe I'll throw some of those in on another video if I think about it. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.